Hello everyone. So today I'm going to talk about the military history of Frederick the Great. So Frederick II was born in Berlin, Prussia on January 24th, 1712, and he was heir to this guy, King Frederick William I, who was kind of a dick. So William I is all about military excellence, which is kind of ironic considering that he kind of sucked as a military commander. So when Frederick, who's a passive and nice guy, starts playing the flute and writing poetry, his dad's pretty pissed. So his father beats him and humiliates him for several years before Frederick is just like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to England with my boy Han Herman, who is like this military officer and friend of Frederick's, quote unquote friend. But Daddy William ain't gonna stand for that shit. His family's respectable and he can't have his heir off in England. So he captures Frederick and his buddy on their way to the Holland-Prussian border and sends them to prison. But Daddy William can't execute his own son, so to punish Frederick, he beheads Han Herman right in front of him. And Frederick, faints. Yeah. Okay. So Frederick is forced to marry an Austrian duchess and live out the next few years living the horrible life of a Prussian noble. Tragic, I know. But then Daddy William dies, and Frederick gets the throne. And this is where things start to get exciting. So Frederick really wants to get revenge on his dad for making him marry and for killing his friend, but he can't, because Daddy William's dead. So he does the next best thing. He takes revenge on his wife's family, just because. These are the Habsburgs of Austria. But then the Holy Roman Emperor and the leader of the Habsburgs, Charles VI, dies too. But that's not going to stop Frederick. He's going to see things through. So he invades the Austrian province of Silesia and absolutely fucks shit up. But Holy Roman Empress Maria Theresa has other French stuff to deal with, so she just gives him Lower Silesia. But then the Austrians start beating the French, and Frederick just invades the rest of Silesia. Just because. And Maria's like, dude, what the fuck? But she thinks about this tactically and is like, I'll just beat the French and go to war with Prussia later. So she gives him Silesia, and after a few months, she wins against the French. So she and Augustus III, King of Poland, invade Silesia, and Frederick is able to fend them off. But in order to win the war, he strikes at something that Augustus cares about, the Kingdom of Saxony, which Augustus is elector for, which is an important role. So finally, Poland and Austria concede defeat at the 1745 Treaty of Dresden, and Frederick takes control of the region. A few years later, Frederick's power is put in jeopardy again, as Russia and Austria form an alliance, and Britain, wanting an ally against France, is giving Russia money to gain their trust. So Frederick makes a neutrality alliance with Britain and, again, invades Austria. This was kind of a bad move, because now Austria, Russia, and their new ally, France, who is pissed because of Frederick's dealings with Britain, are at war with him. So Frederick's at war with pretty much all of Europe, except Britain, because, France. So despite winning a lot of battles and defeating the French with the help of Britain, Frederick's forces are stretched way too thin, and he thinks he might lose the war. But then, as usual, someone dies, the Tsar, and his successor, Peter III, really liked the Prussians. So they signed a peace agreement, and Austria's like, well, we've been known to suck, so let's just get out with some dignity this time. So the Treaty of Hubertusburg, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, in 1763 is signed, effectively ending the wars. This was called the 7 Years' War. You might have heard of it. So Frederick fought one last war with the Austrians in 1778, which Prussia defended the Kingdom of Bavaria against the Austrians. It was a pretty decisive victory for Prussia, and pretty much ended Austrian expansion. So Frederick was a pretty important figure in terms of European history. He expanded Prussian territories into Silesia, Bohemia, and Bavaria, therefore setting up a lot of the lands for modern Germany. I may do another video on Frederick's non-military contributions. What do you think about Frederick? Thanks for watching. Please comment and subscribe. Until next time, this is Here Come That History.